Welcome back to another Linux GameCast Weekly, a show that covers the latest Linux gaming news, reviews, how-tos, and most importantly, whatever the hell else we come up with. This week, Electric Samurai's, they've come to Steam. Better yet, for the low price of free. And Gnome Twitch, it kind of needs your help, because you know, it's about to snap.
The last time that Audio and Unity came together, Charlie Murphy got punched in the face. Will Valve fare any better? And Steam limits the keys that they'll give away based on the games the devs sell. But what if nobody wants your game in the first place?
Well, Valve fixes a whole of 2 Steam issues on Linux. Meanwhile, the other 1,850 open issues on GitHub can stay and fester. And Introware sent us a laptop. I finally get to talk about it on the show. Hey.
I'm Ben Stone, joined every week by the man up north over yar, Master Sfang. Yes, sounds a bit on the nose, and from Space Britannia. You know him. You tolerate him. One Pedro Mateus.
Finger.
On Violence and together with Shot Real Dynamic, joining us in the Discords and the IRCs, helping us form that last special little bit known as Cocaine Voltron. Before we get started, we like to see what's going on in each other's life organs, just to get situated. Pedro, it's been a busy week, man.
Well, yes, it's been a working week. Waking up at 6 a.m. every single day. Then coming home at around 5 in the afternoon. Because it takes me a whole hour to get from here to work and from work to here. So, yeah, it's a bit. But hey, they don't pay awfully terribly, so that's good, right?
Yeah. What's up, Jay, baby? How you been doing?
I have a 45-minute commute. I literally wake up an hour before I need to go to work, and I'm just there. No, I told this story on the Thursday stream, but I keep making people get eaten by giant evil whales. They're the most delicious animal in the sea. Also, I got kicked in the back this week.
You did.
You can find out more about that on the pretty secret super shows. That's available for the Patreons. But you know what's free every week is the horse. You know he's just walking around flaunting it. Occasionally he fixes an issue, but most of the time he just kind of ignores his faults. It's the Steam update.
I just want to point out I'm the only person in the show notes that wrote what they were up to this week, but I didn't say.
Oh yeah, you know what? You're right. You usually go first. That's what throws me off.
Too late.
Okay,
Yeah.
well...
no one cares what Ben has to say.
Well, there was an update to the Steam client beta, and if you're using Steam on Linux, chances are you're probably running the beta because you started running the beta back in the day and you never really changed. It's just, oh, it's a new install, is it? Okay, let's just go into the settings and opt into the beta. That's just what you do. So, every now and again, Valve will fix some of the still very much lingering issues on Linux. This week, they fixed 2 of them. The handling of XDG data dirs and .desktop files with command line arguments when you wanted to add said desktop files as a non-Steam game to your library, so you could use the overlay for whatever reason, even if it's just the FERPS counter. And they also fixed the support for the DualShock 4, because the latest kernels, I think it was 4.12 specifically, it kind of borked DualShock 4 functionality with the way that... yeah?
I'm not sure if it was 4.12, but I've been having some issues recently with my DualShock 4 controller and certain games not picking it up. So I'm curious if I'm actually inadvertently being hit by this issue. I gotta opt into the beta. I've been screwed too many times by the beta, though, when it just starts up and Steam won't log me in.
I really actually kind of thought about it because I was poking around in thrift stores a couple of weeks back, and I saw a PS4 DualShock controller, but it was in a box, and it was in such a state of nope, I didn't want to pick it up. So
I actually really like these controllers. Like they feel good in the hand. The only issue I have with them is that the triggers. If you're playing like a racing game or something, or like Rocket League, when you're like hammering on the trigger, it digs into your fingers a bit. That's it.
Yeah, if Lockdown hadn't kicked over the shackles for the Steam controller, probably would have ended up getting a DualShock 4. But yeah, now see, Valve fixing stuff, that's good. means they're still actively developing and maintaining their client, their big money maker nowadays. But it would be even better if they went and fixed the fact that Steam gobbles the shutdown request, which is git issue number 3301, or the fact that if you hit the right shift key inside Steam, the client, it will act as though you're holding it down, even though you're not. That's git issue 3451. Or the issue that you can't create desktop shortcuts or menu entries for anything on your Steam library. That's been happening for over 3 months now. That's git issue 5012. Or even the fact that if you have the overlay open for just a little bit too long, the game will crash, will freeze. That's git issue 4933.
So if you want to hear the remaining list of Pedro reading out all of the Valve GitHub issues, you can go to our after or our super after shows, and where it's just 4 hours of Pedro reading through bug reports.
It even has a video. He just sits in the corner and rocks. It's kind of
it's like Masterpiece Theater, right? He's sitting in the chair with like the candles. Actually, it's cherry too. It's not even like a nice leather chair.
Yeah, these are all relatively significvideo issues, and they still haven't been fixed.
Well, at least they're taking less time than AMD did to fix VLC issues on their Radeon drivers. But up next, Steam Audio. So it took me a while to figure out what the hell these guys were talking about. And then it clicked. Oh, right. Yeah, Steam had released that VR audio library for like positional audio things and echo processing and whatnot. So they've done release the source code for the Unity plugin for this. So if you want to have a little more fine-grained control, writing your Unity VR app with full surround sound and like positional sound-based processing, whatever, you can do that now. It's all on their GitHub page. You have to agree to the license agreement. It's they got C++ code, C# code. I guess this is good just because I'm all for open sourcing development components, because it allows actual developers to dig in and discover issues that they're running into. And yeah, so people can finally start hacking on it. That's about it. Do you guys have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, is it like just basically a thing for the VR? Is that it?
Yeah, primarily. Like, I suppose you could do that if you had like 7.1 surround sound processing in your game, but a lot of it is just for like getting the right like realistic sound when you're moving about in the VR space.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Because positional audio when you're looking at a screen and you're playing a game on a screen, even if you have like 7.1 surround headphones, you're always kind of expecting, right, okay, the game is there, even if the positional audio isn't exactly as it needs to be, it's fine. Your brain goes, yeah, that's not a real thing. But with VR, your brain goes, oh, that's what we're looking at. Okay. So any teeny tiny difference in audio, it's going to sound out of place. So yeah, I guess if people are serious about the whole VR thing becoming the whole new epitome of immersion, then yeah, you would need to get the audio right.
Yeah, I think it's good that they've actually open sourced this, but Valve open source is like, oh, this VR thing's not really working. I don't know if we'll ever see an HTC Vive Mark II actually roll out. I'll be surprised if we do. But, Jordan, I hear that Valve is actually trying to do something that we both kind of went fucking really. You haven't been doing this?
Yeah, so you may wonder, of course, like, when we definitely wonder it because we have the rule on the contact page, if you want us to talk about your game or whatever, you got to send us 3 keys. And sometimes devs will be like, well, we can only send you 1. That's all we can afford. And I was always curious what the actual process is for requesting keys. I thought like maybe you could request an infinite number of keys, or you had like a certain number of keys you could give out for promotion. Apparently, there wasn't really any control for that whatsoever. You could just request however many keys you wanted and give them to like third-party stores or bundles or whatever. And Valve goes, yeah, sure, whatever, because they want to encourage some competition, quote unquote, or maybe they just don't want to get smacked with antitrust. But now they are saying we are no longer going to be giving out keys willy-nilly. There's like a preset number of keys that you can request, and if you want more, they're going to look at your sales figures. They're going to look at sort of the engagement that your game has, and then increase that limit based on this. yeah, this is kind of one of those common sense things that you would think, maybe they should have been doing this from Genesis, right?
Well, I mean, dude, what really flipped me out was he triggered it at requesting 500,000. Would he have been safe if he'd stuck with 499,000?
Maybe,
Probably.
maybe keep it like under 100,000 and they won't bat an eye. But yeah, like 500,000 keys is a lot.
Yeah, Pedro, what do you think these people were doing with all these keys, man? Naughty things.
Farming for trading cards back then. Now that they can't generate trading cards unless the game is actually selling properly, probably doing that achievement bullshit that people seem to really be into for some reason nowadays. Honestly, there's Steam game keys are currency in some websites on the internet. They are. You can literally use a key for a game to buy, or several keys for a game to buy another game.
They have subreddits that you literally trade keys for games for other games. What I'm actually curious about though is, will this stop review bombs? Because you'll get cases where developers will request a bunch of keys, give them out to random people, and say leave a positive review. Do you think this will help put a kibosh on it?
Well, no, because of the review, they went back and fixed the reviews, where like the reviews that count are the ones that were actual purchases.
Yep.
But now you got to think of purchases directly through Steam.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you bought the game on GOG or something like that, it doesn't count. Well, I mean, you can still read it, but it doesn't weigh in.
Yeah, you can see it, but it doesn't count toward the aggregate score at the top of the page. It's Valve is mostly saying we prize the reviews of people who actually pay for the game on our client a hell of a lot more than we do for people who buy it on G2A. Good on them, at least. But the thing here is that, well, we, LinuxGameCast, and me specifically, since I'm usually the one who pokes the devs to, can we get some keys? If it's a new dev that doesn't exactly have a good track record on Steam or any track record at all, and we ask for 3 keys, they're most likely just going to say no. No. So, yeah. We'll see how it goes.
I don't know. My favorite thing's always been is like, well, we only have 2 keys available. Just F off. I mean,
could you just
go away?
3 keys. Oh, we have 2. Why can't we have the 3rd? Because raisins?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I will say I think Fulbright holds the championship for that, where you had to give me a copy of your humble version so that I could actually review Gone Home.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Because they gave us a key that had already been redeemed.
Well, hey man, it's who was it? THQ or Nordic? Who was behind Curse of the Raven's Cry?
Oh, that was the Topware.
Topware. That's what I was thinking of. So it's the keys for like some production software.
Yeah, some music production software that was Windows only at the time.
I think that's
it was like a podcast aggregator or something. It wasn't even like audio production.
Man. Not as bizarre, however, ladies and gentlemen, as the $30 point and click.
Yes, it is. And if you're not aware, this is Ken Follett's The Pillars of the Earth. Now, Pillars of the Earth, even if you didn't read the books, I didn't. There were 2 TV shows. There was the British one, and there was the American one. It's like a mini-series by Starz. And yeah, this is basically the point-and-click adventure interpretation of the Pillars of the Earth lore, mythology, whatever you want to call it. And this, I wouldn't have even, given it a second glance until I saw who had made it. This is made by Daedalic, the fine folks behind Silence and Derponia, or Deponia, or
Derponia,
however you say
come
it.
on.
When I see that name, I always read it as Derponia. But yeah, they have a lot of experience when it comes to point-and-click adventure games, and Silence was actually pretty good. So
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm watching this trailer and I'm like, oh, I'm really digging this animation. It's like, this looks like something I'd like to watch. Don't make me play it, maybe.
Yeah,
you can
because
watch.
the game is supposedly fully animated too. So this really seems like it's more of an interactive movie than anything, which would actually be kind of cool, but not for 45 Canadian dollars. My insides.
Okay, it's 26 pounds 99 here.
Yeah, it's $29.99, and again, I mean, that's the first thing I wrote in the show notes, and I'm glad Pedro was able to explain that to us. Like, this has got some hype behind it. I clearly don't understand, or it. Hey, man, it definitely looks like it's absolutely worth 30 wet, stinky cashes.
Oh, yeah,
but it also
fully animated, fully voice acted for sure.
Yeah, production. I mean, you could probably say justify a 60 for this, but for a point-and-click game that I don't know anything about the backstory, I probably can't be alone going, So,
well, Pillars of the Earth, like I said, yeah, you don't really watch TV, but I used to. Until I went to university, TV was a thing that was always about, so I watched it. And Pillars of the Earth, the British TV show, was airing in Portugal at the time. So it actually wasn't a terrible series. And the books sold pretty well.
It looks like something that I'd actually really be into, and I might actually check out the series or the books or whatever. I'm actually like reading about this. I'm currently chewing through the first Expanse and all.
Yeah, I definitely kind of feel it with that. It was like, maybe I'll check out what it's about, but the game doesn't interest me as much as maybe the backstory.
Yeah, because I like the sort of character-driven medieval strife and like fighting against the church type stuff. That stuff kind of resonates with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, not for $45.
Nope. Hey, let's fight against some Controls the fall too. Unbound, the sequel. Yeah, we threw some chairs at this business. Hey, who turned out the lights? You might remember that business.
Yep.
Really controlled like dog shit, and it was really hard to figure out things and puzzles because you had to have pinpoint accuracy to be over just the right things at the right times. No date announced for this, other than coming spoon.
Q3. Q3 2017, that's it.
Only requires Ubuntu 10.04, man. That's impressive.
That's just the default of when you tick the SteamOS thing on Steamworks Developer. The default is 10.04, so
Okay,
that's...
Honestly, I think the whole 8600 or above is probably accurate given what we're seeing.
It definitely is. I mean, it was a Unity joint, had some weird mechanics to it. What is it? Sequel to the 2014 Game of the Year award. Y'all's full of shit right there.
I'm sure
they didn't say
Game of the
whose
Year
Game of
award
the
from
Year.
some random
Technically
YouTube channel.
true. Largest Linux gaming podcast in the world, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
Winning by
if you're specific enough, you can be first.
Right, we can keep drilling down. Thrust a challenging, bizarre adventure that will you're dude a person, whatever, non-fluid, gender binary.
You're an
It's
AI.
a suit.
Yeah,
You're literally controlling the suit because the person inside the suit is either dead or unconscious.
So
that was
you're-
kind of the premise of the first part.
It's the plot of Soma. You're a suit piloting a dead person.
Except Soma, you weren't really the suit. The suit was just your body, literally. In this case, you literally controlled.
There was a straight up dead guy in your suit that you inhabited. In Soma.
That girl.
Okay, sure, whatever. dead.
It was
individual.
Imogen Reed. Yes, because I still remember the freaking story for Soma. It was a good game. Go figure.
Hey man, it's out there. It's a thing. We don't know. I think we might neo-dodge bullet on that review, but this
Maybe they'll send us some cues.
this interest Pedro and I just for the simple fact that more racing games on Linux, please.
Yeah.
So
And yeah, it's not Racer. And the only reason I gave this a second look is because I looked at the screenshots and the videos like, oh crap, another one of these bare bones racing games. Then I scroll down and it says multiplayer. It's like, ooh.
Yeah, it's one of these racing games where you're supposed to maintain acceleration because that's how you get ahead. If you bump into shit, then everyone else zooms past you, which means that it's going to be one of those racing games that I'm fucking terrible at. You've seen me play that. What was that game we did the Demolition Derby in? Wasn't Derby? Was it?
No, that was like a mod to one of the fuck you hard racing games.
Yeah. So you saw my performance in that. It's going to be as bad in this game if we ever actually do get around to playing it. But it's cheap. It's about $10 Canadian, so it's probably about $8 US. But I mean, it's a racing game that like I said, it honestly looks like a PlayStation game.
It looks like a PlayStation game, but then again, if it's fun, it's probably a Unity game. And it's anti-grav, and we've seen tons of these open source versions of these games on Linux, but not with multiplayer, which,
Yeah. Super Tux cart. Any day now.
Yeah. And it does split screen and all this business. I think Maddie even said it's priced to sell it 10% off, $8.99, regularly $10. Probably going to have to say, let us try before you buy on this one.
I have shot the developers an email, so if they reply, you will know.
Okay, something you don't have to buy is Go-Go Electric Samurai, something Old Man Ben checked out simply because of the damn name.
I saw you play that game.
You saw me trying to play.
Yeah, I think an attempt was made. I saw the Twitter aftermath.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is kind of weird. What you drive around, you dodge your shit. It's kind of, it's fully 3D, but 2.5D kind of overhead, and you just cruise around and you try to get a thing into a goal. It's rocket cars with spikes. Completely free to play. I don't think there's any DLC or anything attached to it, so requires SteamOS. I started it up, gave it the Pepsi challenge, and say, all right, I'm going to start in a window. I'm like, oh, that's cool, 720p window. All right, and Jordan, oh, fuck. All right, then you got to move everything because you got to get because we both have UHD monitors. 720p is a postage stamp. And so, but you can set it, and like, okay, well, let's just set it. So you got to get up close and personal with your monitor organ. And I set it to, okay, just give me 1080p. Just like, nope, can't do that. It's like, can you give me any other resolution? It's like, nope.
Well, looking at the specifications, I think the mistake you made is that you tried playing this game with a CPU installed, because they actually recommend that you don't have one.
Ah, that could have been it. Comes out, come to find out, you can drag the window, and it just embiggens itself.
Oh, so it's one of those.
One of those.
Yeah, I hate when that happens. Like, change the resolution. You can't, but I can. Oh, Victor Vran is actually like that. That threw me off.
That threw me off, but it might be fun. Was it multiplayer? Yeah, online multiplayer. So maybe we might even try it in the after show this evening. Who knows? Crazier things.
We'll play some electric plane hockey.
Well, I think we're done playing some electric horse hockey.
Oh, that's for sure. Coming up next, Ethan has an impassioned plea for the game devs of the world, and we find out how long Pedro can talk about a laptop. Spoiler alert. It goes into like several days.
Very long. We are about to put the news in your face in just a moment. But before we do, well, let's just say we don't really like our faces all that much. But for some reason, a lot of you do. And you keep giving us money just so we can have our face in your screens or, our voice in your ears.
I think a lot of it has to do with they don't necessarily like our face. The comedy from this podcast has to do with them actually laughing at our faces. But we got quite a few people to thank, especially all the people who go to LinuxGameCast.com, hit the support button, and give us money via, say, an Amazon wish list. We're very, very close to getting the Ryzen box. That's the thing we skipped over in Ven's what we're up to this week's segment, so you finally get some closure on that. It's just as disappointing as the Battlestar Galactica finale. Don't you just feel rotten on the inside? There's also Amazon affiliate links for the UK, for Canada, for the EU. It's good stuff. We have PayPal links. We got the good old Amazon wish list. I think we need a Ryzen CPU and we need an NVMe drive, and I think we're good to go.
Man, we definitely need this Pro Studio acoustic stuff. I don't even know. Stupid monkey widescreen monitors. Listen, man, things pop up here, and sometimes things pop away here. You definitely got to keep track of it, and that's kind of how you end up on the. Come on, Frank, do it for me. Our fine upstanding cannibal wall. Hey, man, it's definitely a thing, but I do use it as our shopping list, so things go poof because we just buy stuff from there too.
Indeed. So we got some. Actually, before we get to that, we got to talk about the Patreon.com/LinuxGameCast thing that you can go to give us recurring monies. I think we're still at over 200.
Yeah, 217 wet stickies a week.
110 beautiful party patrons.
It's kind of nuts, but it's value for value. You give us money, we give you a show every week. If we don't put out a show, you don't pay. We got a lot of exclusive stuff. You can listen to Pedro wax on and on and on. Actually, you get to hear that anyways later in this podcast, so maybe skip that video.
Hey, you do a thing on Thursdays, man. You do your Crimson Court with Sandy.
Thanks to the lovely people at Patreon. We got scheduled streams Tuesdays and Thursdays. I think we got 1 or 2 more episodes of Darkest Dungeon left in us. Then we're either switching to Serious Sam BFE, or we're doing an Iron Man run of XCOM with Sandy. That's going to be interesting. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we got a lot of people to thank this week, so let's get right into it. Steven, thank you for giving us some money. Welcome. Mr.
Patron?
Alan Poopy from the Ubuntu podcast. He increased his pledge. Kloinka has bought us a motherboard and a USB hub. Linux Nuru is our biggest fan, and as such, he got us some fans. And someone sent us some shitcoin, some magical internet money.
Hey, man, Bitcoin's awesome. A few MBTC. Hey, man, that Bitcoin thing, it's not going to take off. Now is the perfect time. And we're not going to save them for you.
Get rid of them. Give them to us.
But we got 2.0 right here. We're having trouble keying it because I don't plan ahead correctly. Bradley, Jill and Steve, Maddie, Erod, Michael G, John M, Mr. Red, and now Kalankia, because boom, look at this hotness, a B350.
B350.
It's not VR ready. Oh my god!
I know, and it's got blinky LED red bullshit that I'll have to find a way to disable. Like I said, we're doing this new upgrade on a budget. This really helps out. This is not the YOLO swag, most fanciest thing in the world, but it's going to definitely get the shit done. And Linux Nero saw that, and he's like, man, I want to be on Frank's wall. So let me do the magic again.
Just gotta keep your hand up, man.
Yeah, it just doesn't work, does it? Boom. Linux Nero popped in our Discord channel. You get access to that if you're Patreon, along with the pre super shows, and that's an extra hour of content for you for your ride to and fro work. So he kicked over kind of a roundabout way, but any means necessary is where we're at. We just want to get this done and over with, and moved out of here downstairs into the big studio. And he kicked over some quid for cooling. He picked us up 5 fans.
Oh, wow, that's a lot of fans.
5 fans, and that's going to go in the new Tipsy Danger box of business, which I dug out. That's what I was talking about. I took it out from under our current box of business, and that took the better part of 2 hours. It's cleaned out. It's ready to go. And, yeah, man, I really don't miss digging around in, like, 90s supersize cases because they're sharp and stabby. I have the cuts and bruises to prove that. But thanks for everyone for making the show possible. You keep us the loud, live, independent. I like saying that. We don't read commercials, and you might not like what we say, but you know we mean it. There are no outside influences on our business. But shilling over, let's shill for somebody else, because we're better at that.
Oh, yeah.
Someone else's Patreon.
Yes, someone else's Patreon, namely Mr. Flibbeted Ethan Lee. He is, well, if you know who he is, you know that he's been doing a lot of work to make XNA games viable in just about every single system that can run SDL, which is every single system. So, yeah, he created FNA to be a drop-in XNA replacement, and now he is sort of putting out a PSA. It's like, okay, the Xbox Live indie game arcade thing store that Microsoft had is going away, and Microsoft does not give a damn about the indie games that are still being hosted on that platform, some of which don't have any versions for any more up-to-date system than the Xbox 360. So you're fucked, basically. If you really like a game that's only available on Xbox Live Indie, you're fucked. And Ethan is going, okay, we need to get together because I've already done everything that I could with FNA, and we need a way to keep these games alive and keep English. Sorry. Let's try that sentence again. Keep on allowing people to access those games. And that's really awesome to see. And if any of you out there can help him, can do something to help preserve, and maybe bring those games to other platforms as well, that would be awesome. It's, I don't know, Strider? Would it be too much to ask to get in touch with Flibbit and make like Lutris Dev or something?
I don't know. He's going to need to take time away from that paying job he has. No, but this blog post also talks a lot about how there's a lot of shared code between a lot of these games now, specifically with Simple Direct Media Layer and OpenAL and so on. And he's completely spot on about portable open source technologies, because using and contributing to like high quality open standard or open source libraries like FNA, like OpenAL, or not even FNA, like SDL2, ensures that there's at least a bunch of standardized skill in terms of game dev, because these are high quality tools. Everyone is working with the same sort of tools. It increases portability because it allows you to say, well, we have 90% open source portions and then this one closed source thing, so we can write around it and keep our game alive. Or we can start transitioning to other libraries that will allow our games to run on other platforms like PlayStations or Raspberry Pis or Linux or I don't know, the next big Palm OS thing that HP eventually releases. But preservation is really important. We see in a lot like the Internet Game Archive stuff, where they have like browser versions of a lot of old games. Otherwise, these games will just go away. They're important pieces of gaming history. They're things that people have attachment to, things that people have worked really hard on. And to see them just go away and remain unplayable is really sad.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if we just had a spitball around it, why do you think? Because I mean, we've been covering SDL since SDL was a thing. Now, especially with SDL2, there has been a stupid amount of unnecessary resistance to SDL. I mean, even from Unity. Like,
well, the Unity bit is a bit more complicated than that, because Natasha Bard herself said that integrating SDL2 with Unity, she got to a point where she hit a wall. Now, she didn't say exactly what that wall was, but I'm pretty sure it had something to do with some crappy Unity input handling business, maybe. But well, yeah,
she said in that talk that there's like a lot of raw X code which using SDL takes away, and again we just got to go back to Ryan C. Gordon's talk at Steve Dev Days like a couple of years ago. This is how you draw a window in DirectX. This is how you draw
3 pages.
a window in SDL. Oh, this is how you do it with error handling.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's very important. I think Michaud pointed out, preservation. This is very important, and unfortunately, I think a lot of the older games that we've seen come over with FNA, a lot of these developers are just like, we're done with it, man. I mean, that was years ago, and we don't even have access to it anymore. So, I fear a lot of stuff just kind of lost.
Yeah, some of it is lost, but thankfully.
Ethan is trying to keep it as close to XNA as possible, so that you can't just take the source code out of your XNA environment, drop it in your FNA environment, run your make commands, and away you go.
And Factor SDL2 is both 32 and 64-bit for whichever one you want. But yeah, no, it's preservation, good stuff.
Speaking of insane developers who take on massive challenges. As the thing in the show note says, they took last week off. We didn't have any RPCS3 stuff, but they're back with a vengeance. They've completely rewrote their vertex processing subsystem. So here's the short version, the condensed version of the article. So the PS3's GPU had access to the CPU RAM. It was closer to an integrated graphics processor than a dedicated GPU, which is not how PCs are architected, where you have separate pools of RAM for basically everything. So this was causing a lot of performance problems because you'd have to do your vertex calculations in CPU, copy them to the GPU RAM, and this was just causing a lot of hangups. It was in the pipeline. So what they've done is they've just implemented this all in the GPU now. So they copy everything to the GPU, and then they just call things as needed. They render things as needed. And they've seen some massive performance games, and one of the interesting side effects is games that were not even showing things before, by virtue of this change, started actually you didn't get anything other than a black screen. This includes Metal Gear Solids 2 and 3, which I'm really actually very excited about because I love this game so much. One of the other things they had to do, and they're discovering a lot of weak points in Vulkan, which I think is really interesting because not too many projects are using Vulkan to the degree that these guys are. Maybe Dolphin is the exception, writing an entire GPU emulator within Vulkan, but that... Regardless, they needed to rewrite their Vulkan implementation.
Well, I mean, if I can ask you a question, man, why do you think that is? Do you think because they already know that they are already stuck with just a massive barrier of doing the emulation, that even though Vulkan is going to be a little more of a pain in the ass, or a lot more of a pain in the ass, they're willing to go towards any speed improvement they can get, period?
I think that's the case. I'll get to that a little bit later too, because they draw some interesting conclusions at the end of the article. But they actually had to rewrite their they had to rewrite their vertex processing, support asynchronous frame processing, I believe it was, to get to see the performance gains on Vulkan. Because what's happening now is for RPCS3, the OpenGL renderer is as fast or faster than the Vulkan one, which is interesting. They're starting to sort of knock on the limitations of Vulkan, or they're starting to see some of the holes in the technology for such a like immensely complex project. Like you would expect that they have to run into this.
And it is exactly because it is as complex as, say, trying to emulate the entire PS3 in software, that is going to inevitably find holes in whatever API they're using to do it. OpenGL is mature enough that even though the documentation can be a bit spotty here and there, it's mature enough that it can handle just about everything. And Vulkan, it's new. And it's never had anything like what these guys are doing, like what Dolphin is doing. It's never had any of that before. So yes, they will poke all the holes they can find. And that's just going to make Vulkan better. But yeah, the bit where they use the asynchronous rendering for the different frames, that's great. That's actually more games and emulators should do that because it allows for parallel processing. So let's say you have an 8-core AMD FX CPU from a few years back. All of a sudden, oh look, performance, good things.
Well, I mean, there's definitely that. And you got to imagine, especially doing something as crazy as this with the cell architecture, with the PS3, that they've done stuff and things have happened and it was genuinely WTF, mate. Didn't expect that to happen, but it's a good thing. And
oh, for sure. And I'm really interested to see, because I don't think we've really had anything like this. This is an interesting point in time where people are taking on these really, really monumental projects using something like Vulkan, using it way outside of what it was originally conceived of doing, and seeing how the guys at Kronos improve the technology stack in response to these things. Because when DirectX and OpenGL first came out, there was nothing like this. They had their limited use case, and everyone kind of worked around it. Now the opposite's the case. Everyone's trying to do crazy shit, and it's up to the API devs to actually come up with solutions.
I think that's definitely a thing. Let's see what we have up next. There's a call for testing for GNOME Twitch, Jordan's favorite application that he completely gets why it exists.
So fucking useless. It's so okay. This was always a neat little toy project. I like the idea of, hey, let's put together a desktop application that captures RTMP screens from Twitch, and you can play them in a little viewer. But I can open up a browser window. Like, I don't have to open up tabs. I can just drag a tab off with the Twitch on it and stick it on another monitor. And watch my Twitch streams. Watch my Twitch stream. My Twitch.
Yes, watch your Twitch streams.
Freudian slip there, man. But no, this is from snapcraft.io. If you're listening to this, maybe you're watching a YouTube version of it for some strange reason. All this business is in our show notes. It'll be in the descriptions and all the places, or on our website. They are testing the snaps because the snaps are the future, apparently. And well,
snap!
They got everything. You can plug it in, put it in, install it, and see if it works. They want to know if it works in your system. So if Snap's your thing, you don't like flat packs, or you don't like app images, or you just don't like apt or apt-get, like us old people still type because muscle memory, go check it out. The desktop thing with Twitch, I kind of agree with Jordan on, because the only thing I watch on Twitch is, well, I watch Twitch on is tablets, or, you know, then that might be Chromecasted to a TV, possibly.
Admittedly, I will have, every now and again, I will have a Twitch stream on in the background if there are a bunch of people talking. But I don't even have the window open, and it's usually just a browser tab that's buried somewhere in the 20, 30 tabs I have open at any given point. So, yeah, no.
I mean, the only thing I could possibly think of is, like, if you don't want to have the massive memory footprint gobbledygook that Chrome has open because you're running memory-sensitive applications, I can maybe see using a desktop app. But it seems kind of useless, all things considered. I don't know. But speaking of useless, Pedro, you got a laptop.
Yes, for a week. Fine folks at Introware decided, you know what, these guys... one of them is living in the UK now, so might as well kick him over a laptop. And now I did ask that if they wanted to send like one of their non-gaming laptops, it would be fun. But they said, "Oh, you're LinuxGameCast, so we're going to send you a gaming laptop." And it was like, "Oh shit." Well,
you went a
to be
little
fair,
after Nick Riviera there. I don't know what that was about.
To be fair, the Kratos works very well as a desktop replacement workstation type of laptop. And as a gaming laptop, sure, you could call it that. It has a dedicated GTX 1050 Ti, or 1050, sorry. And it can handle some gaming if you... actually, out of the box, it handles the Optimus thing just about as well as you'd expect. You need to log out and log back in for it to switch GPUs, but that is to be expected. None of the on-the-fly switching bits actually work all that well. So, and since this is a laptop they want to sell, yeah.
Prime, man, it works perfectly fine. I don't know. I honestly cannot fathom why people are still saying, "Oh, use Bumblebee," blah blah blah. The NVIDIA driver and frickin' Xorg support this the off GPU rendering. So I don't understand why people come up with these solutions. Oh, I got to log out, log back in, or start up some daemon. It just works.
No, it's if you just set it out of the box with the NVIDIA drivers, you need to log out, log back in for it to switch GPUs. You can use them on the fly, yes, but that has other issues.
Okay, Pedro, I got a Kratos. It's a gaming laptop. It works. What's it going to run me?
The configuration they sent us with the 256 NVMe Samsung M.2 SSD, 929 pounds. Mm-hmm. And yeah. The base configuration isn't that expensive. It's 799 pounds. They all come with a 1080p IPS screen, which on a laptop looks pretty good. Which is also why I'd also actively recommended it in the review for people doing graphic design or visual artists. It's only 1080p, but on a 15.6 inch laptop, it's more than enough.
Well, ask me this, man. I mean, could I buy like a cheaper version and maybe just add some more memory to it?
You can, but not very easily, because the bottom doesn't have like an access door for maintenance or anything. You need to take the 18 or 19 screws at the bottom to be able to lift the plastic. Then you get access to the RAM, the M.2 port, the SATA port, the Wi-Fi combo card, and if you want access to the CPU fan, it's also there. You just need to take a couple of more screws to take the shroud out of the fan. But yeah, it's not the easiest laptop for upgrading, doing your own upgrading. So if you are thinking of getting one, you need to configure it properly when you buy it on the Entroware website.
I guess ultimately, like on a scale of 1 to 10 hobos that you could bludgeon to death with it, for the build quality, what would you give it?
It's still a Clevo. Still a Clevo. It is sturdy, I'll give it that. Compared to the calculator, my old laptop, probably 2-3 hobos.
Okay.
Yeah, that's impressive for a laptop. I was gonna ask on a scale from like a graham cracker to an AT2020, what would you rate it?
It's not as sturdy as an AT2020, but you can bludgeon a couple of people to death with it easily, and it will still run. But it is still a Clevo, so yeah.
So you can check out the full review at LinuxGameCast.com. It should be on the main page. Pedro wrote a very rambly review that I had to edit, and so
yep,
you can see that there. But speaking, you know what? I thought Pedro would have been a little more interested in this next story, considering. But
hey, man, it's a 1D Switch. DAC.
Nemo.
Yeah, Nemo. Yep.
Yeah.
Engineer invents Switch peripheral for one-handed gamers. Yeah, you can just stick the shit together. Basically invented a roll of fucking duct tape is what he did. Let's just be real with each other. That's all we got going. It's a little more neat than that. Where are you including Nintendo stuff? Because it turns out, it's like, I don't know if we can include this. Apparently, the Switch controllers are plug-and-play with Linux.
Yeah,
they are Bluetooth
via X input too, which I thought was
X input done, and they just work. There's no futzing with it. There's no setting up Bluetooth, or it's like beep beep, and maybe a bloop. But hey, man, I thought that was kind of a cool story, and I guess the things with those, I can't play a Switch. I've already tried to use the Venhans. Don't know.
See, I have the Switch prototype right here.
What?
It's called an NVIDIA Shield.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, that's what that is. It's an 8-core ARM CPU strapped to like a. I think it's roughly like a 1050 or a 1040 or something.
It is the Shield tablets were literally the prototype, and we're NVIDIA going, see, Nintendo, we can do this. This is awesome, and.
Not very well because
the first ones tend to be a bit explodey. This one hasn't exploded yet, but yeah, no. The controllers and playing one-handed. See, I would have been interested in, except there is already a controller I enjoy very much. It's a Steam controller.
But not one that you can like play games one-handed with one, and I don't know, do naughty stuff with your other hand.
Well, I mean, it kind of makes me
eat
the whole thing. I mean, it genuinely makes me just a little bit sad because the whole thing, like the initial Switch, not even the Switch, but the Wii, was to get people, to get on your feet and jump around, right? Move around. So I immediately figured out that you could just maximize the sensitivity on the things where I could just lay back and veg out and like barely twitch my wrist and compete. But the reduction is like, I gotta use both hands. At this point, if you're 3D, outside of the neat factor, shouldn't you just buy the like controller adapter that sticks them together that Nintendo sells, or is this just a way around that?
It comes out of the box.
This is a way around it, or if you're a one-handed gamer like Pedro over here, yeah. I mean, yeah. That for accessibility stuff, it's good. Yeah, flip me off for advocating for your specific use case. Go fuck yourself, Pedro. You know what? Buy Switches and then burn them and send the melted plastic to Pedro Mateus. Fucking do it. Speaking of burning and raising things, this is a AAA game. So get ready, folks, because it's Java based. So there's going to be some salty bitching about installing Java. if I know my two compatriots at all. No, but if you've ever played the board game Axis and Allies, this is a fan-made game. It uses the Axis and Allies rules with entirely new fan-made maps. And that's pretty much it. I've never actually played Axis and Allies. Apparently it's pretty fun if you like military sim board games like Stratego or Risk or stuff like that. There's also a 52-page rulebook on their website. The rulebook for like the original Traveler was about 52 pages, and I read through that. But this did not speak to me at all.
Well,
so
I'm just telling you this, man. It's like how to play online. 9 minutes in, still not in the game.
Oh, you can see a bit of the game in the background there.
There it goes. 9:21.
Nice. Well, it just could be someone talking about, like, I don't know, Linux laptops for however long. But it is Axis and Allies, so if you're a fan of the game, you should definitely check this out. It's a free project. You can download it. It's Java-based, so it will run on everything, including your car, which has a Java VM installed. For those of you who don't want to install JDK, I mean, don't play this game.
Well, admittedly, I did have OpenJDK installed. I downloaded it. I started it. I look, spreadsheet. Nope, don't care. Nope, I'm out. Bye.
Admittedly, my experience was very close to like, it requires installing Java on a desktop. What do you say? Fuck that.
I already had it installed because I'm one of those idiots. I'm one of those idiots that goes back to Minecraft every now and again. So yeah, I have Java installed.
It's so all right. Coming up next, it's party time, guys. Party time. So let's get a party going. Now it's time to party, and we'll party hard. Let's get a party going. When it's time to party, we will always party hard. And throw some chairs, because it's the chair acquisition time. This is Party Panics from Everglow Interactives on the Unity engine. You can pick it up for around, 20 of your local, more like 15, 16, I don't know. It's $19 Canadian. It's kind of crazy. What is it? Party Panic is a crazy online and local multiplayer game. Compete against your friends in 30-plus rapid-fire minigames, race through the brutal gauntlet, or complete the trophy challenges on Trophy Island. There's even a built-in drinking game. You'll laugh, you'll cry. It's stupid. Grab your friends, pick your characters, and get partying in this exciting and panic-filled game. So the dev sent us some keys, so we decided to check that out. We streamed a bit of it on Tuesday, too, if you want to check out some more gameplay. You can check that out. They recorded about an hour. But it's time for chair acquisition. 1 chair means that it's garbage. 2 chairs means meh. 3 chairs means that it's okay. And 4 chairs means that it's awesome. We got our categories, Doom, mixed with the working, shiny sounds, controls, and fun. So let's kick this off then. How did Party Panic launch?
Over here on there, hopefully soon to be retired. Current box of business, 8150. Powered by a 980 displayed at UHD that's not something we're going to talk about too much with this, running the Ubuntu 1604 LTS dot whatever the fuck all it is this week. Well, I hope you like playing at 30, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, because that's what you're going to be playing at. Not 2160, not 1440, not even 720p, don't matter, 30. That's what it can do. That's what this game offers. There's an option for 60, but it's full of lies. Worse than that is it definitely struggles to maintain just 30 with a GTX 980. So you know what? Out of the box, I can say it definitely runs. It launches. It makes this screen that I'm showing you right now. But that's about all you can expect. I'm going to throw you 2 chairs on that technical bit.
So, there's a story behind this. Our good friend and show card artist, Mr. Mike Tehan, and I were a little inebriated last night. And I said, "Hey man, you want to play some Party Panic?" He's like, "Sure." And so I launched it. Everything was kind of fine. You can't actually change graphic settings without actually editing the prefs file, because the game will crash when you try to apply graphic settings. So I set it in windowed mode, and away I go. Empty, on the other hand, had all sorts of problems, where the game would just not launch. He set the resolution to 1080 by 1920, which, look, he sent me a picture of that. It looks super weird on the fucking UHD monitor, but it fits in a little corner, 1080 by 1920. And his performance was really, really ass. For me, it was actually kind of acceptable with the defaults on high on the 980 with the i7 6700K on Fedora 26. But then I decided I'm going to test out the local multiplayer today. And so I sat down with my roommate, and lo and behold, there's some issues with the 700 series, because the Steam box I have has a 750 Ti, Empty has a 780 Ti, and it was just not having any of it. Oh man. Plus, that UI is fucking busted as shit and confusing as all hell. Hot damn, it works technically half the time, depending on your computer, so I gotta give it 2. It's not quite 1, because launches. But hot damn.
Yeah. If you try to uncap the frame rate in full screen mode, the game will break. If you try to change any of the other settings, the game will break. Really, the only thing you can hope for, if for some reason you'd like to change the graphical settings, you pray. Basically, you pray that the game doesn't crash when you change it to windowed mode, because then you could just make all the changes you want. Not that they make much of a difference, especially in capping the frame rate, because at least on my box, when I set the frame rate cap to 60, it went from 30 to 35, 36, somewhere around there. That's 35, 36 FERPs for a game with no textures, running on a 4.5 gigahertz FX 8370E and a GeForce GTX 1080.
Thanks to just GFox, man.
Yeah, the GFox. In any case, that it runs terribly. I genuinely thought we were done with Unity games having really terrible performance on Linux. Not the case.
Yeah, you're kind of wrong. How many chairs?
2.
Yeah, that's 2 for mixed working up next to shiny and sounds. Ben, what'd you think?
Well, let's see. Take a look at it. I mean, it looks primitive. One thing, matchmaking, also kind of spotty. More about that in the fun section. What do you have? Kind of like Gang Beast, sort of wannabe, clay-like beings, wicked simple levels, backgrounds, and all that. I'm not saying anything's lazy. No, I'm not. I'm just saying it's really fucking primitive. It looks really old school. And shiny and sounds, yeah, that's pretty much the shiny. Clay-like character... try to be funny. I think the Sterling says, is this supposed to be means, doing with the hats and sticking out the tongues and all that. You can punch each other in the loading screens. That's going to go in the lobby. Can't say I hate that. You're going to be spending quite some time in the lobby trying to get multiplayer working if you're watching live. This is real time. Pedro and I trying to figure out how to connect to each other. And yeah, this is real experience. We're not showing you the super cut on this one. Sound-wise, it's got ounce and it's got some wob, and both of those can, thankfully, largely be ignored. And, just kind of roll it another 2 on this, because it's nothing impressive. I mean, even if it had decent performance on modern hardware, I don't think I would have given it more than that. And, again, work was done to make it look as good as it looks, but... not enough. Should have hired an artist.
Yeah, the graphics are really just kind of there. They're ultimately there to serve the gameplay, and that's about it. I mean, you can pick a costume. You get a bunch of loot boxes. I picked the Wiener Man because I always pick the food-shaped guys in these games where you can beat people up, because then I like to scream at them to eat some fucking lunch. There are noises. Your guys do make noise, and especially when you're fucking around with settings in the profiles, the game audio is about all you're gonna be hearing, and it's not anything to really write home about. Like I said, this is all very much in service to the game itself. There's nothing really striking going on. It's just there so that you have something to move around while you play your game. I can't really say much more than that. So 2 chairs.
Yeah, the graphics serve their purpose and nothing else. The sounds, most of them are also perfectly acceptable for what they are, but the random screams and guttural interjections by the characters are completely uncalled for, and they just sound so bad. seriously, no. I honestly don't even know what the developers were thinking, just having the characters randomly scream or do some weird bullshit while you're trying to set up or you're waiting on someone. That's annoying. It was just annoying. In fact, if you go back and watch the live stream that Ven and I did, I spent a non-negligible amount of time complaining about those interjections. So yeah, 2 chairs, and I guess I can't give it 1 because they technically work.
Yeah, so that's 2 chairs for Shining Sounds. Moving on over to controls, then. What'd you think?
They're definitely thing, man. Here's the thing. Not nice and quick. The controls are slippery, and we have a word for people who would say otherwise about this game. We call them liars. Yeah, that's kind of when this game bothers to register your damn input in the first place. I think Pedro will get onto that a bit more than I will. And how the hell are you supposed to play this game drunk? It has a drinking game party mode. I'll talk more about that in the fun section. When, out of the box, again, go back and watch the live stream. They're not bad. It's just they are on the polar fucking opposite universe side of what the fuck ever of accurate. There's definitely, you definitely feel like there's an RNG element introduced in there intentionally or unintentionally that shouldn't be there, especially for a game that you're supposed to start drinking with. Yeah, you kind of feel like drunk mode's enabled out of the box. We're just steamrolling this critter with 2 more chairs.
Yeah, I mean, so they one nice thing they do have that most Unity games do not have is in the options, you can switch what kind of button prompts you get. If you have a DualShock controller, you can get the DualShock prompts. If you have an Xbox controller, you can get the Xbox prompts. However, never the twain shall meet if you have a combination of Xbox and PlayStation controllers, like, say, I do. Then one person is going to be getting weird-ass prompts while the other one isn't. Yeah, the controls are really, really, really slippery, and sometimes you can't really tell, like, you can't really see your character react. Like, when you hit the punch and kick buttons, you can't see if you're actually doing anything, which gets really confusing, and then, sometimes shit just doesn't work. One thing about the drinking game, though, that kind of bugged me is it's always the person with the lower score at the end who has to drink. So even if you've been doing poorly and then you manage to pull off a win, you're still going to end up drinking, which is really, really dumb because you need to spread it out so that everyone gets equally drunk, as opposed to the one person who just stays drunk and then dies of alcohol poisoning. In fact, I think dying of alcohol poisoning would be more favorable to playing this game? Question mark? 2 cheers.
It's a bit of spoilers, but yeah. On more than one occasion, I noticed that the game just outright ignored my input. Not entirely sure if it was because of the Unity shitty default input handling, the crap performance, or a combination of both. I'm going to guess the latter. So, yeah, the controls, it picked up on the Steam controller out of the box just fine. Keyboard, mouse, technically also works if you hate yourself that much. But yeah, it's every now and again it will outright ignore one of your inputs, and I'm not entirely sure where the fault lies, so I'm 3 chairs for the controls.
That's oddly generous, Pedro, but 3 chairs for controls. Let's put a bow on this now. Then, did you have fun playing Party Panic? Is it party time?
With Party Panic, unless you have IRL people to play this, look elsewhere, because you saw in the beginning, the online community is pretty much DEAD, deceased, no more. And the ones that are there are the ones that like to play this. Those type. I mean, I couldn't start a game with like the 3 people that were online. Well, they immediately jumped in the room. They're like, yes, friend. And yeah, none of that. It runs like ass. It has bugs and glitches galore, which can be fun for all the wrong reasons. Absolute shite controls. Minigames completely not explained properly, and what little explanation there is, it's on the wrong fucking screen. Again, we keep saying, go back and watch that live stream. Go do it. You basically get QA from Pedro and myself. And built-in drinking game, It's nothing more than telling the loser to take a shot, man. That's your built-in drinking game. I don't even know why that's advertised. This might appeal to streamers who want to play something that's busted, yet still technically playable. But even then, they're probably going to have a hard time with the price tag. So, okay, single player, maybe that's a thing. I didn't bother going back and trying it, and I couldn't imagine anybody doing that. I've never played Mario Party, so I don't have that to compare it to. I think Pedro and I had more fun punching each other in the fucking lobby than we did playing any aspect of the actual game itself. I don't feel bad throwing it one share.
Oh, absolutely. The best part of this game, period, is in the fucking lobby screen where you just beat the shit out of everyone. That is by far the single most entertaining aspect of this game. In fact, if they had made a game that was purely that, like, it would just be called Gang Beasts. Let's be real. But anyways, I was never really a fan of Mario Party because all my friends excluded me while they were playing it, and I got no practice, and so when it came my turn to play, I would lose, and I'd have to pass the controller. You all know that story. I have no friends. Boo-hoo. Jordan sucks. Anyways, this is Mario Party without the board game elements, generic characters, serial numbers filed off, and a tacked-on drinking game. I suppose if you can get some other people to play with you, you could theoretically milk some fun out of it by like shit-talking each other and just making fun of this terrible, awful game. But even then, that's a bit rough. I was playing this with Empty for like an hour, and the busted ass game itself, the shit controls, the piss poor performance, just completely negates any good time that you might have playing this game. The stupid UI will reset itself. Like if you set stuff to the prefs file, or even if you set stuff through the UI, sometimes it will just decide to reset itself, and then your game is fucked, and you have to spend 15 minutes trying to unfuck it, going through various iterations of configurations. And I do appreciate when games throw in the ability to have combination of local and network multiplayer, but this doesn't really help this game all that much. It's just bad. It needed more time in the oven. I feel that this could have been a moderately entertaining party game experience had they actually, taken the time to properly QA it and, release a finished product. One share.
Yeah, I don't think, I think you all can see where this is going, but just to give you a little bit of feedback, not feedback, just background about me as a quote-unquote games critic, or an asshole on the internet, as the case may be. I'm a big fan of Yahtzee Croshaw, which is also not a surprise to anyone who's been watching the show long enough. Unless this is your first time watching, at which point I'd have to ask, why are you doing this to yourself? Now, Yahtzee likes to say that a game should be able to stand on its single player to justify its price. And honestly, I never really agreed with that. I agree with a lot of what he says, but that one is one that I never really agreed with. I think if a game is designed from the ground up with multiplayer as its core concept, be it co-op, competitive, whatever, then it's perfectly acceptable to judge those games for what they are. And Party Panic, as it is a perfectly serviceable party game if you have a 30 hertz TV and have music blaring over the rest of the house to drown out the stupid screams that the plasticine men make. Otherwise, most people that are currently at your party will play a single game, just the one, and then tell you that they'd rather help you, do the dishes. And that's not something you want your video game to cause in people. A video game usually kind of needs people to want to play it. It needs to motivate people to keep on playing it. Because if you're playing a video game and you want to do chores, then your video game has failed as a concept. Now, the only chance you'll get to have someone to play this game with you is if you have someone like me who's doing it for the sole purpose of, I am alright at video games, so I'm not going to let you beat me kind of deal. But that's it. And at that point, it doesn't really matter which game you're playing. And, well, Party Panic is not even a good example for that. One share.
Oh, you're done. Hi, Pedro. You're right next to me. Yeah. Oh, I can't clip into it. Anyways, that's one share for fun. See, I had more fun trying to do that than playing Party Panic. That tallies everything out to one share as well. Final thoughts, ladies, gentlemen, persons of indeterminate gender. What's up?
Hey, I was kind of reading through some of the reviews and just discussions and stuff going on Steam. Like, bizarrely enough, there was definitely the people go, you're being too hard on it. You just got to give it more time. Here's how it works, Brad. You know, when you release a game from early access, all criticism is valid, especially when you release a busted pile of nope. And while your game is technically playable and it's technically a game, it was not ready for release. You know that. And everyone who's not fucking delusional knows that as well. Bad game is bad. And wholly overpriced for what it brings to the table.
Yeah, definitely. And it could have been basically the Mario Party for Linux. And it isn't. It's just another crappy Unity game that kind of sort of works, except not really. And it's way too complicated. It's not really easy to get into a lobby and just start up a game quickly. It's not done. It's not finished. I don't know.
Yeah, half-baked is usually an adjective used to describe people like me, but it can also apply to this game. Yeah, it's just not very good. I feel if it had like maybe another 6 months to a year of development, it could have been something worthwhile. But for now, it's just a buggy, busted pile of shit. Coming up next, we discuss the finer points of Super Nintendo or NES gaming and what it really means to be Metro.
Lovely, lovely party people. You disappoint me. I keep saying this is my favorite segment of the show because of all the hate mail we can get. Because you get to point out every single thing we got wrong. You get to basically be me against me because I can't do that to myself because I'm far too biased. So I need you to do that for me. I like that. And if you
no one wants to be you, Pedro.
Yeah, no one wants to be me. But I get that. But hey, if you'd like to point out how wrong we were over the course of the show, go to LinuxGameCast.com, hit the contact button, fill out the form, make sure LGC Weekly is what's picked in the drop-downy boxy thing, and let us know. If you're trying to send us information about your game, sure. If you want us to play your game, make sure to include at least 3 keys, because if not, we will make fun of you. All right? Okay. So, this week, we start off with Monster Manual, talking about Mega Man 2.
It's Monster Manuel. Get it right.
Okay, Monster Manuel. He says, it's funny, like you said. We used to beat these kinds of games because we had a strict budget and had to play what we got. I remember bidding this game and Airman being the first one I'd beat every time. But damn, that level looked harder than I remember. Geriatric life. So this is about...
It's geriatric life. It's like Geriatric Park.
Oh yeah, that's geriatric.
It's like the home, you know. The home.
Death finds a way.
He was talking about, I played some Mega Man 2 just because basically to knock the horrible tasting cock of Mighty Number 9 out of my mouth. And just to see was like, fuck you hard back in the day. It's like, okay, let's check this business out. And yeah, that's one thing I talked about was I genuinely believe we had a lot more forgiveness for games because, at a young age, you got what you got and you made do. It wasn't like this weird moon universe we're living in where I have almost 500 games that half of them I haven't had a chance to play. No?
Yeah. I mean, this is true. If you're a child in the late 80s, mid to late 80s, early 90s, video games were a lot less mainstream, and when you either scrounged your allowance money or you convinced your parents to buy you one for your birthday or whatever, and odds are you'd only get one or two games every so often unless you had like a nerdy parent who's like also into video games and bought that stuff for them, and then you just got to play it. So yeah, you would play these really hard games. And you'd suffer through them, or you'd rent them from Blockbuster or Hollywood Video or wherever you would rent your video games from, and that's what you had for the weekend. And you played it and you liked it because you had no other choice.
Yeah, I was very much like Jordan. I was a kid of the late 80s, early 90s, and I had the Master System 2. And counting Alex Kidd and Miracle World that came built into the console, I had a total of 3 games. Was Alex Kidd, Space Invaders, and Double Dragon. That was it. Those were the 3 games I had for the longest time, and I played the shit out of them.
Well, I had to make this executive decision way back in the day when, I think for an Xmas or something like that, Mom showed up with a Neo Geo AES. Now I fucking knew I was never going to get another game for this because they're like fucking 200 pounds, 280 pounds for a game. It's like, do I take this? I had Samurai Showdown. Do I take this for the bragging rights of having the Neo Geo? Or do I go, whoa, it's like these games are way too expensive, by the way, and you're never going to buy me a fucking game for this and get another console. But yeah, the bragging rights for the Neo Geo one. And to this day, that's the only game I have for my Neo Geo.
Good stuff. Well, up next, we got Johnny Five Finger is Alive Finger. And he says, regarding Metro 2033 Redux, I just installed this game today, Mega Ellipses. And as far as I can tell, all of the issues that you guys had have been resolved. Like Pedro said, Mega Ellipses.
3 years later after the review.
It's hard to put this game down, but because you get immersed in it, Mega Ellipses. And want to see what happens next. There are many games I have not played, but this game is impressive. Thanks for the review, guys. Love your show. Well, Metro was some pretty well put together games. They had a compelling story. They were gorgeous visually, and they performed really, really well on the Linuxes.
Yeah, I mean, even way back then, it was like 2 or 3 years ago.
That it was the gold standard, really, for Linux games.
It was one of the few games that we could maintain a solid 60 at 3840 by 2160 with the eye candy cut up, and fuck all that story's engaging as hell.
Yeah, and I remember with the calculator playing Metro Last Light. Not the Redux version, but the original one. It's like, oh, holy crap, I can hold 40 FERPs on medium. Balls to the walls, amazing.
Now, it's tragic that Deep Silver has decided to give up on actually doing native ports and going with the virtual programming clowns.
The cheapest option, yes.
But we have these 3 games. What was it? Metro Last Light, Last Light Redux, and 2033. Those shining examples of what could have been for your Saints Row, for your other games of that.
True, but I mean, that would be the ultimate fuck you, is the new Metro, which they're working on. Please, VP, go under before.
I literally brought that up when we covered it.
Yeah.
we need Wine to support DX11 by then. Otherwise, it is going to be a VP port because Deep Silver started munching on the stupid stick, and no one's stopping them, apparently.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, when someone brings up the stupid stick, that means it's time to cue the music, because you can always find us around 9:30 Eastern Standard Moon Time. Head over to LinuxGameCast.com, hit that schedule button. It'll tell you when that is, or just check the YouTubes. We post it the day of. Even in Space Australia, just math it out. I mean, it's not too terribly difficult. I'm at Vinstone on the Twitter, Vinstone on the Googles. You can find me. It's terrifying.
I'm Jordan Svung. You can find me finding all sorts of creative, horrifying, and sexy uses for the stupid stick at The Burning Fool on Twitter, plus Jordan Svung on Google+.
And you can find me just being a generally loathsome person at Unaccounted For on Twitter or plus Pedro Mateos on Google+. Seriously, just ask Orn.
Don't ask Orn anything. That is one thing we have always learned. That's what we learned.
Don't talk to him. Don't look at him.
Yeah.
Just don't. Go away. Go.
Hi, YouTube. Shut up, Jordan.
That's how we get content I need.
What? They're gonna demonetize our videos some more?
Apparently, no. Apparently, that 11-minute video of me speaking about the intro where Kratos is less advertiser friendly than this entire show.
Oh, no, they did that. Then it was okay. Then 2 days after that, it wasn't okay again. It changes every single fucking day. This thing, I'll tell you exactly what YouTube's doing. They just flag the shit out of everything, and they want creators to go back and program their shit for them by saying no. Like, yeah, all right, this one probably had some inappropriate shit in it. So that's your dance monkey dance for YouTube by going back requesting reviews.
Yeah, you got to teach their magical algorithm to figure it out.
Dynafy everyone.
Bye-bye. 5 dudes.